Hey everyone, it's Desy Cheng, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison of the Canon EOS R versus the Canon EOS R5 or R6. And this video is going to be great if you're going to be currently debating between which camera you should buy, or if you already have the Canon EOS R and you're thinking about upgrading to the R5 and R6. Currently, the Canon EOS R is listed for $1,800 US. The Canon EOS R6 is for $2,500 US, and the Canon EOS R5 is at $3,900 US. You will have to also take in consideration that if you are going to go with the R5, that you will have to spend a little bit more money on the CF Express Type B cards, as well as an additional reader. So I actually switched over completely from my Canon 5D Mark IV to the Canon EOS R in 2019, just because the autofocus with face detect and eye detect was just a lot more accurate than using the 5D Mark IV, and I was just getting a lot more shots in focus. And also when you have the combination using the RF lenses, the lenses were just tack sharp. Just for example, using the Canon RF 50mm 1.2 versus the Canon EF 1.2, it is almost like night and day difference. So yeah, the Canon EOS R was my workhorse in 2019. So although it has been my primary work camera, I was always skeptical about using it on professional shoots just because it is single card slot. It has happened to me in the past with different cameras where the there was a memory card failure, not because of the camera, but just because the memory card itself had a problem. And yes, I was using higher end, SanDisk and Lexar memory cards, and so it didn't really matter that I was spending a lot of money on expensive memory cards. It just happens. So if that ever happened with something with the Canon EOS R, then I would be hooped. So when they announced the R5 and the R6 with dual memory card slots, I had to jump on it right away. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna dive right into it now, and I'm not gonna go through every single feature in detail between these two cameras. I'm only gonna be talking about the major features that affect my overall user experience. The first big difference between the two cameras is that it has dual card slots, and as I mentioned before, it's very, very important. And if you're going to be upgrading to the Canon R6, it's only $700 more. And I feel like just with $700 to get dual memory card slots, I think it's well worth the investment, because if you're shooting it and one project screws up because of that one memory card, you've lost more than $700. So the next thing is autofocus. This is another big feature that a lot of photographers want, and the Canon EOS R5 and R6 kills the Canon EOS R. However, if you're just going to be shooting landscape or portraits or still life where it doesn't you don't have a subject that's constantly moving, then the Canon EOS R is completely fine for that, and you're not going to notice a huge difference. But if your subject is moving erratically, running around, turning around, spinning, then the Canon EOS R5 and R6 is going to be, it does have a much more reliable and accurate autofocus. The third biggest feature is that this camera, the R5 and the R6, can shoot 20 frames a second with the electronic shutter. Now, or I can do 12 frames with mechanical, but that is huge because essentially that is a miniature 1DX. And with the Canon EOS R, you can only shoot 8 frames, but it only goes down to 5 frames per second if you're using continuous autofocus, which is slow, not too terrible, but it's that's like 1/4 what the Canon EOS R5 and R6 can do. So that is a huge major difference. Jumping into the video features of the R5 and R6, they are way better than the EOS R. With the EOS R, you're limited to only 8-bit C-Log as well as cropped 4K 24p, and that's about it. So with the R5 and R6, you can shoot 10-bit. You can also shoot 4K 24p uncropped, so full frame, and you can shoot 4K 60p and 4K 120p. There is also 8K RAW as well as 4K HQ modes within the R5. However, all of those, including the regular 4K 60p and 120p, there is an overheating limit to it. But with Canon's new firmware update, it's not that big of a deal, just because, you know, with the 4K 60p, for example, you can shoot well over an hour. One additional major feature about the Canon EOS R5 and R6 is that they put back the thumb joystick as well as the thumb scrolly wheel, whereas it was not here on the Canon EOS R. And lastly, it has 5-axis internal stabilization. So for photographers, it's amazing, because I actually did a test one night and I got handheld 0.6 seconds of shutter without any motion blur with a stabilized lens. Now I did turn that stabilization off to see what I could get with the internal only, and I got 1/10 of a second stabilized internally only, and there was no motion blur at all. So quite amazing. And for video features, obviously, I mean, with the IBIS, self-explanatory. You just don't really need to use a monopod or a tripod as much. If you really want to do some handheld shots, you'll get less shaky footage. Anyways, guys, just to conclude, if you are a photographer, I would highly suggest that you don't even bother with the Canon EOS R and you look straight into the R6 or even the R5, just because the R6 is only about $700 more than the Canon EOS R, and it is just way better in terms of reliability, and the autofocus is just way more accurate, and it has dual memory card slots. However, if you are more into video, then, you know, I would look more into the Canon X70, which is new, or you can go into the Sony line and jump into the Sony a7S Mark III. I do have one on pre-order, so I will be doing a review on that one soon whenever I get it. However, if you are just looking into more YouTube vlog type stuff, you know, right now I am currently shooting this episode on a Canon EOS R, and all of my other previous videos within the last month or so have been with the Canon EOS R5. So if you're just doing vlogging, stuff like this, you're never gonna run into an overheating issue, or I haven't at least. But anyways, these are just my thoughts. Anyway, if you do like this video and you want to watch me do more, please like and subscribe, and definitely don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Desy31.